So, who amongst you remembers the Super Friends? Show of hands? Anybody? No? Okay, well, let me explain. The Super Friends was an old cartoon that aired back in 1973 on ABC. It was produced by Hanna-Barbera and was kind of an ultra kid-friendly version of the Justice League that starred your favorite superheroes, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Robin, among others, who would come and go as the series progressed. Except they weren't allowed to punch or kick anybody, so it was mostly just them sometimes breaking stuff and kind of engaging in some weird-ass shenanigans. In traditional Hanna-Barbera fashion, they felt the need to include some even more kid-friendly sidekicks that were created specifically for the show that everyone tends to remember with some kind of disdain. Godzuki and Scrappy, I'm looking at you. In the case of Super Friends, there were actually a few. The first of which premiered with the show in 1973, Wendy, Marvin, and the Wonder Dog. These characters would only last for the show's initial 16-episode run, at which point it was cancelled. The show would be renewed 3 years later in 1977 under the title The All-New Super Friends Hour, where they promised to ramp up everything from the original show, which means they needed new sidekicks with actual powers. Enter the Wonder Twins, an intergalactic duo who would fight alongside our heroes with their blue pet monkey, Gleek. The Wonder Twins, Jaina and Zane, are extraterrestrial twins from the planet of Exor, whose parents died from a plague when they were still babies, and apparently, no one wanted to adopt them. So they would be instead adopted by a space circus leader who would bring them in because of their unique powers and give them Gleek as a pet. See, Jaina and Zane are shapeshifters, with Zane having the ability to transform into any body of water, and Jaina the ability to transform into any animal. However, they can only do so when they put their hands together and say Wonder Twin powers activate. I actually don't know if that's a prerequisite to activating their powers, but hey, a catchphrase is a catchphrase. All about that branding, you know? They would later escape the circus as teens and rush to Earth to warn Superman about a pending attack from the villainous Grax. This is how they would become the newest sidekicks for the Super Friends. Well, until the show got canceled and the characters were relegated to obscurity. They would make various appearances in the comics from time to time, with some attempted revamps to make them cooler, including appearances in Smallville and an all-but-a-name appearance in Justice League Unlimited, but you just can't do it with the Wonder Twins, you guys. You just kind of have to lean into the silly. Enter Mark Russell, author of similar Hanna-Barbera reboots such as the Flintstones series and the Snagglepuss Chronicles, another series we've talked about in the past that you should watch when you're done with this video. Mark Russell has a tendency to take these cartoonish and silly characters and use them to make sharp, hilarious satire with shockingly deep commentary on socio-political issues. And in February 2019, he decided to give that treatment to the Wonder Twins in what started as a 6-issue miniseries but was expanded to a 12-issue maxi-series. As it turns out, if you're willing to embrace the silliness and whimsy that characters like the Wonder Twins can bring, you can use them to make complex commentary on the various systems of inequality that allow a ruling class to constantly have a lower class to suppress and dominate. Fun! Let's dive in. Our story opens up in Morris High School, where our heroes have started attending, with Jaina doing the morning announcements. Zane, on the other hand, is busy in class giving a presentation for Heritage Day about his home planet of Exor. Exor is a civilization that is completely devoid of poverty and violence, where crime doesn't happen unless someone is just really bored, where every societal ill has been conquered and they prosper for it. He then proceeds to start describing how a thunderstorm forces all citizens of Exor to uncontrollably engage in a massive orgy until he is, not surprisingly, cut off by his teacher. Jaina and Zane meet up with their super suits after school, and they head over to the next phase of their apparently new life on Earth. A new job over at the Hall of Justice. Inside said hall, Superman is explaining their new interns to Batman and Wonder Woman, who seem less than impressed with the Wonder Twins' particular power set. Superman goes on to explain that he's taken them in as a favor to their father, who says they can't stay on their planet for mysterious reasons. While they don't necessarily like it, they both accept it and allow Superman to give the twins a tour of the Hall of Justice. Superman explains the hall operates as basically a dispatch center for the heroes, so they don't all respond to the same crime, and that the hero sent is the most appropriate one for the task at hand. He leads them to the old control room with their supercomputer, or at least it was supercomputer before cell phones took over. Now it's mostly there just to play music. The tour is interrupted by Hawkman, however, who says that a body has been found in a nearby park that carries energy signatures from the 5th dimension. This means it can only be the work of Mixius Spitlick, a magical trickster deity from the 5th dimension known to wield reality-altering powers that he mostly uses to annoy Superman. While the rules on how to defeat him have kind of bounced around over the years, the most reoccurring is that he will be banished back to the 5th dimension if you can trick him into saying his name backwards. Like I said, we're leaning into the silly here, just roll with it. The Justice League leave the twins in the control room to handle the interdimensional threat. This gives them the opportunity to acquaint themselves with the supercomputer, which turns out to have personality all its own and looks eerily like a pixelated version of those old face ads from Nick Jr. Anyone else remember those? Ugh. Luckily, the Justice League is able to handle the trickster without the twins' help, and they go about their business.